What up, fam? I am Dr. De Luna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, we are going to talk about why you should not put toxic people or products in or around your vagina. Curious why? I'm going to tell you. Tune in. So familia, today we are going to be diving into why you should be highly selective of what you are putting in and around your vagina. Let me just say also that people use the word vagina incorrectly. When you are talking about a female's anatomy, outside, everything that you see outside, the sweet little flower is the vulva. Inside, the tunnel to the cervix, that is your vagina. And we have so many things in our body that are called mucous membranes, which are essentially this one layer system that opens you into the bloodstream. The vagina is very, very absorbent. Through this single layer of cells, things can enter your systemic bloodstream. So that's something that you need to consider because so many people think, just stick this in my hole. Nothing's gonna happen. Something is going to happen. So let's first start with the products, and then we'll get to the people, okay? So in case you are not aware, as a female, we have been told how we should look, smell, show up in the world, and a lot of those things are not with regard to optimal health. And a lot of our products, which we have been told from infancy that we need to make ourselves more, suitable for the outside world, are loaded with toxins. Your makeup probably has toxins in it. Your beauty products probably all have toxins in it. The douche that you are using because someone told you to use it to change the smell of your vagina absolutely has toxins in it. Let me also remind you, sweet baby girl, that your body is perfect. You don't need one of those things. You don't need one of them to be amazing. But if you are someone that menstruates, chances are that you use a product to soak up your blood. Yes. Each one of the products that are conventional, meaning the things that you would buy in a grocery store or a drugstore that you would just pull off the shelves, loaded with poison. So let's start with the tampon. Everyone is scared of toxic shock syndrome. Let me just say that is few and far between, unless you stick two tampons up there and forget about it for a couple days, then yeah, you might get toxic shock syndrome. You want to be on top of it. You want to change things out, but I'm not even talking about that level of toxicity. That is a infection, essentially. What I am talking about is what is actually in the product that you are then introducing into your body. Tampons are made out of cotton, and conventional cotton, first of all, isn't the color that it is. So before we even get to the color, it is grown in a sickening soup of pesticides, because anything that is a monocrop, meaning that there's only one piece of, something growing, it doesn't have any competition. There is not a multitude of organisms and crops kind of creating balance. There's just one. So it's really easy for pests to come in and shake things up. So to grow just a field full of cotton, first of all, it's probably genetically modified. So they have to spray it with a lot of pesticides and herbicides, and then it's dyed to make it white. And it is dyed with bleach. And this process actually has a lot of digoxin in it. This is one of the most toxic chemicals in the universe, man-made. Gotta love it. And the FDA, because I always trust the FDA. The FDA told me and all of us that in the levels that are in tampons that it's safe. It's not safe. Because think about it. You're using these products daily when you're on your period for years of your life. And we have something called bioaccumulation, meaning that these toxins don't just come in and leave in the same breath. They build up, they get stored in our tissues, and then they circulate and cause different diseases, honestly. This compound is linked to cancer, it's linked to infertility, it's linked to endometriosis, all sorts of stuff. So not a fan of any of those things, and definitely not a fan of putting poison inside of my vaginal vault. And again, the vagina is the meeting point between the outer world and your cervix. So it is, it's truly a tunnel, but it's inside of your body. So you have to be careful about what you are introducing inside of your body. I'm a big fan of organic cotton, everything, even down to clothes, but truly tampons, it's really important that they are organic cotton, unbleached. There are a lot of brands out there. I'm a big fan of shopping at, hippie stores like Co-ops, because the products in there, most of the time, they're not laden with poisons. Of course, there's better choices and worse choices on those shelves, but because I'm trying not to name any brands, if you went into any of those stores, you can find something that is an organic cotton tampon to just smoosh on up there. Another thing that a lot of people use is pads. Similar story there. A lot of the times they're made out of cotton, but usually it's not just cotton. Usually it is cotton mixed with rayon. And in order to make that happen, there's a lot of plasticizers in there and these microplastics that I think more and more of us are becoming aware of, their impact on health. They can also just absorb right through your vagina into systemic circulation. So plastics are endocrine disruptors, meaning that they influence our endocrine system directly. They can lead to hormone imbalance, they can lead to estrogen dominance, and anything inflammatory in the pelvis or in the womb can show up as period problems. If you have listened to my previous episodes on period problems, you know that period cramps equal inflammation. That's what they equal. So if you are putting these different compounds into your body and near your most sacred organ, as far as I'm concerned, that have toxins in them, your body is going to become inflamed and try to push them out. So I'm not just talking about long-term impacts of these things, cancer, hormone imbalances, different growths, things like that. I'm talking about day-to-day symptoms and also symptoms that might show up around your menstrual cycle. Having clean products really is essential. So they have reusable pads for those of you that are like, ew. They also have just straight up cotton ones that you can throw out and you don't have to reuse them. Something else that is really big on the scene right now is period panties. And I must say that I gave myself a try. I gave them a try. I went for the organic cotton panties from a very well-known brand. They're actually getting sued right now because they have PFAS in them, polyfluoral alkyl substances. These are small little compounds that can circulate in your body. They are directly linked to endocrine disruption, aka hormone imbalances, directly linked to cancer, and directly linked to infertility. Pause and think about right now someone in your life who is struggling to get pregnant. There's a lot of them. And that never used to be the issue. Our grandparents could look at each other and make a baby. And that's because they didn't have all this stuff swimming in their blood, telling their cells what to do. And the most kind of delicate part of your body is your fertility. It is very sensitive to stress. It is very sensitive to toxins. It is very sensitive to anything inflammatory. And all of these things that I'm talking about can impact that. So I really am passionate about people being mindful of these things. And there are so many brands out there that actually give a fuck. They really do. And they make things that will not slowly poison you. I want you to start to think of your vagina like a mouth. I know, kind of weird, huh? But your mouth, if you put something in your mouth, you taste it, right? That act of tasting something and absorbing those chemicals into your bloodstream, they go systemic. The same thing is happening to your vagina. So I will never forget sitting at a pool in Tulum. Somehow people from the East Coast are just drawn to each other. So I was sitting at a pool in Tulum with one of my best friends. This chick comes down who is from Jersey. I love New Jersey. It gets a really bad rep. Fucking love New Jersey. So this chick sits down and she's truly talking about her step-by-step vaginal cleaning routine. She asked me what soap I used. She asked me what moisturizer I used, what sanitizer I used. And I just straight up laughed out loud. I was like, I don't use any of those. Not one of them. Your vagina is a self-cleaning machine. It is actually perfect. It's not supposed to smell like flowers. It's not supposed to smell like baby powder. It's supposed to smell like a vagina. And if your vagina starts to smell fishy or off or something is, really tangy, then that's usually a microbial imbalance because the microbes within us are creating different compounds that alter the environment and vice versa. So you go in there, you're like, oh God, Billy told me that my vagina smells like fish. I'm so embarrassed. He's going to tell everyone. So I must douche every day. Know that in doing that, sweet baby angel, first of all, fuck Billy. But also, in doing that, you are throwing off the microbial environment within you. You are washing away some lactobacillus, and lactobacillus are really important. They are changing the pH to make it so different bacteria can't overgrow, and they're also controlling the growth of yeast because we all have things like yeast within us. It's just whether or not the army can overcrowd it and keep them at bay. So if you're going in there, douching things up, For douches like Billy, you are just doing yourself a disservice because now you're throwing your microbiome even more off, and it's going to be something that you feel like you need to do to find balance versus just letting your body clear it out and be neutral. So now let's flip this a little bit and talk about why you also need to be selective about the humans that you are welcoming into your body. So sex is sacred, sweet baby angels. It's something that is quite intimate. And now sex is something that people are just doing to try to find connection, but it's not necessarily to the depth that we need it. And your body, if you have a womb, your uterus is an upside down triangle, and at the tip of the triangle is your cervix. Your cervix is a very special part of your body, very special. Take a moment, say thank you, cervix, for creating boundaries and giving me all sorts of messages and wisdom. That cervix is innervated by your vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10. You already know, it's my favorite one. That is part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So your body and your nervous system is consistently feeling into what you are welcoming in and having a response to it. And if your cervix does not like someone, it's going to speak to you and it's going to influence your nervous system. How many individuals have you heard of that have had HPV on their cervix, or who have had cervical cancer, or, had to go down the road in hopes that they didn't have cervical cancer? To me, the cervix is a boundary. It is such an intimate boundary between your internal world and your external world. And if you are not respecting your own boundaries, things can show up in that area. You can have pain. You can get cervical warts, which is from HPV. HPV is a virus. If you've been told you have HPV, don't say it like you're scared. Everyone, for the most part, has HPV. There's different strains of it, but if you've ever held hands with someone, touched another human, if you're still wearing bubbles and staying 6 feet apart, I would highly recommend against that and touch and interact with other humans. And then guess what? You probably have HPV because it's living on your skin. But there are certain types of HPV that are more likely to create warts. Warts on your skin, that's one thing. Warts on your feet, plantar warts. Warts on your cervix, cervical cancer. And this is something that your immune system should be able to control. It should be able to keep it at bay and keep those viruses from replicating in an uncontrolled manner, leading to a wart. But if your sweet little baby cervix has been bruised or insulted from a penis or a toy or a finger or anything that is put inside of your body and it doesn't want it, that connection between your vagus nerve and your cervix is going to be a little bit not direct. And as a result, your nervous system is influencing your immune system. So if your nervous system kind of disconnects from that arm of your immune system, you're not going to have as strong as a barrier there. And it really is a boundary. So this is the way that you can determine what you are welcoming into your internal world and what you are not. And this isn't even touching on all the energetics of having sex, right? Like in my previous episodes, we've talked a lot about it with different guests, but there's so much that goes into it. So I want you to treat your body as a temple, especially your womb. So much wisdom there. And if you did nothing else but just threw out all of your conventional period stuff and replaced them with things that were organic and not poisonous, you can directly impact your fertility, your cancer risk, all inflammatory symptoms. If you are someone who has endometriosis, this could be huge for you. I didn't even mention that so many of these products, whether we're talking about like the vaginal pearls and washes and tampons, ew, they have fragrance in them. They stink. They literally stink. Fragrance is a chemical. So if you ever look on the back of something and it's like natural fragrance, that's just a way that they don't have to tell you what it is. Most of the time, fragrance is phthalate, a type of phthalate, which is a very absorbable chemical, a very inflammatory chemical that can circulate in your entire body. So again, remember, your vagina is a mouth. The blood is directly beneath that tissue lining, and the blood doesn't just stay in one area, right? It circulates everywhere. So this can have impact on anything that you're experiencing inflammatory-wise or symptom-wise. So if you are dating a Billy, please dump Billy. Please dump him. You don't need him. You don't want him. Your vagina does not want him. Your vulva doesn't want him either. Different shapes, sizes, smells are normal. But what is not normal is smelling like a baby's bottom that has been doused in baby powder. That's not what you should smell like. You should smell like a human. So, sweet friends, please, 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 please stop putting douches in and around your vagina, whether they are human or a product. Please stop putting toxins in or around your vagina, whether they are people or products, and watch your relationship with your womb change. This is where, you know, our passion is. This is where our creativity is. This is where so much wisdom comes from. And we want that gateway to be clear and open and precise. So I hope some of you message me after this and tell me how you dumped Billy. I really hope that you do. And if you need me to convince you otherwise, just look up any study, anything at all on what one of those toxins that I just listed does, and you will believe me and you will never want to touch them again. So I'm all for organic air thing, but definitely for organic tampons, pads, panties. Remember that a label is just a label. Any company could put the word organic on there, but the key is, do the makers of the company use their products? Because if they don't, then they probably know that they are toxic. So angels, thank you for listening today. If you liked this episode, please share it with one of your friends that is dating a Billy. If you want to learn more about any of these topics, leave it in the comments because I love showing up for you and sharing all of this shit. Truly, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and your womb thanks you as well. Toodles.